Welcome to MMA Dogs. My name is Hector, and this is my dog Dan. And we want to put a link up here in the middle to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And then we're also going to put a link up here to like our Facebook. So today we want to recap UFC 154, GSP versus Carlos Condit. Man, what a fight!
Yeah, it was.
That was a fight. That was one of the best 170-pound fights that I've ever seen. That was just thoroughly entertaining.
That was just bloody, old-style gladiator shit going on.
Yeah, that was an excellent fight. And so we'll start with that one first. GSP versus Carlos Condit. A lot of people are commenting on how uncomfortable GSP looked. He didn't look as comfortable, confident in his element as he usually has, which makes sense. I mean, the guy's coming off of almost a 2-year layoff, a year and a half layoff, injury, a big surgery, ACL surgery is a major surgery. But man, he just went out there and just showed his Adrian Peterson type of recovery ability, just plowed right through Carlos Condit. But man, in the third round there, where Carlos Condit landed that kick.
Yeah, I was jumping out of my chair on that.
He was jumping out of his chair.
Everybody was jumping out of their chairs, but I was jumping out because I thought Carlos Condit was going to finish the fight. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but he did put up a good fight. I was very disappointed with the judge's decision. Only one judge gave him the third round, and that was very.
That's really interesting. That's something that my dog was real bothered by, and it's interesting because when you're trying to predict fights and when you're trying to get down to the bottom of who's going to win this fight, there are certain elements and certain things that you have to look out for. One of them being if GSP fights or if certain fighters fight, right? The judges aren't necessarily the best, smartest MMA people. So one of the things that my dog and I like to do is we like to really view everything and view it all as a whole. How is this? Where are they fighting? There's so many different aspects that go into making predictions and being accurate, and having a high percentage of accuracy. So one of the things my dog and I were talking about is, when GSP fights, you got to know, man, the judges are going to be in his favor. Yeah. Judges are going to be in his favor. How do you not give that round to Carlos Condit? He just about merely finished the fight there. And yeah, GSP might have getting the takedown and got on top of him and controlled the next 3 minutes or 2.5 minutes or however long he controlled it. But the amount of danger that GSP was put in is enough to win that round, in our opinion.
I thought it was a 10-8, and then GSP made it a 10-9 for Condit. GSP turned it around and still lost the round, but it wasn't as
Some people's opinion might be 10-8. My opinion was 10-9.
It was 10-9. It was 10-8 up until that point, and then when GSP came to,
and let's not take anything away from GSP. I mean, what a fight by GSP. I was thoroughly impressed with GSP. I mean, the ground and pound that he was landing on Carlos Condit, it's just unbelievable. And Carlos Condit too. If you take a look at GSP's face after the fight, man,
it wasn't looking good for Condit until that third round. I was very disappointed. I think Carlos Condit was disappointed in the fight also. I definitely would have been a lot more disappointed if GSP won the fight and it was a lot closer. But GSP definitely won 4 of those rounds. I could see how a judge would have given Condit 2 of the rounds, but the right score was 49-46, and I think that only one judge out of the 3 of them got that right. And 50-45, fuck out of here with that.
Now, what some closing thoughts on this fight, dog, so we can put it to rest, and also why don't we talk about just off the cuff here, who we would like to see GSP fight next and what we would like to see for Carlos Condit next.
I think we should see pretty much the winner of the co-main event fighting GSP and the loser fighting Condit.
Oh my God!
I think that's what we should see next.
So we would have GSP George St-Pierre versus Johnny Hendricks. Oh my God, that would be a good fight. And then we'd have Carlos Condit versus Martin Kampmann. That would also be a good fight. So, yeah, if we can't have, I would rather have Anderson Silva versus John Jones. But if we can't have Anderson Silva versus GSP, then okay, we'll take GSP versus Johnny Hendricks because. Man, Johnny Hendricks! Wow, the big rig.
I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen.
Woo-wee.
I know.
So let's take a look here and see. Now, Carlos Condit, Martin Kampmann, I can't get that excited about because it's not for the title, but it should be an exciting fight too.
Kampmann's got Carlos Condit's only victory. Or he's got the only win over Carlos Condit since he's been in the UFC.
Yeah, but I remember that was a fight that I watched, and Carlos Condit should have won that fight, but it was very close. Very, very close fight. Carlos Condit should have won it. It was a split decision, right?
Yeah, split decision loss for Carlos.
That was a BS call, but times change, people change. They could be much improved right now, so we expect a better fight there. But let's move on to the welterweight fight between Johnny Hendricks and Martin Kampmann. First round knockout of the night. Johnny Hendricks in 46 seconds puts away Martin Kampmann, and wow!
I knew there was holes in Martin Kampmann's game plan, and Jake Ellenberger and Thiago Alves both exposed them, but they both made mistakes later in the fight and gave Kampmann the win.
What did I tell you, Doug? What did I tell you? Maybe 2 nights or a night before the fight. What did I tell you about Martin Kampmann leaving holes? What?
You said well he survived against Jake Ellenberger, but when you get caught by Johnny Hendricks, you don't come back from it. And that made a statement that really showed right away. I mean, he just doesn't come back from it.
After much analysis and spending time on it, trying to figure out how's this going to work. One of the big flaws, and this is what everybody should look for when they're trying to look for the big flaws. Martin Kampmann gets hit a lot, so who's hitting him? Jake Ellenberger, these people, but. When Johnny Hendricks, man, they don't call him the big rig for nothing. When he lands that punch, man, you just see Martin Kampmann fly back. You see him fly back. And, I mean, it was just one of these situations where I just jumped up out of my seat. Wow, put him out like that. So, Johnny Hendricks knocking out John Fitch the way he did.
We know that wasn't a fluke now.
It wasn't a fluke. I
mean, he'd already done it to T.J. Wahlberg and Charlie Brenneman, but
I would have liked to see Johnny Hendricks put away Josh Koscheck.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
That would have been really good to see. He didn't do that, so there's that hesitation on my behalf with Johnny. He couldn't put away Koscheck, and Koscheck. I don't know. He's a good fighter and everything, and he's had a chance to fight GSP, and I don't know. It just kind of brings it back down. But then, then he fights Martin Kampmann, knocks him out in the first round. Now it makes you wonder. First minute. So it makes you wonder if Johnny Hendricks can land on GSP. So Condit landed.
Yeah, for sure.
Condit landed a kick, but if Johnny Hendricks lands a punch. What?
Square on the chin.
And how is it going to go down?
I mean, if it happened more than once on tough UFC guys, I mean, it doesn't mean it's going to stop. I mean, these guys went down. John Fitch and Martin Kampmann both went down like they got shot by a missile. I think they were even talking about how Johnny Hendricks had a missile for a left hook, right?
Wow, just a punch in there. And so... Man.
One more thing. I thought it was really funny that a lot of people were counting Hendricks out in this fight. Everybody said, "I can't believe Martin Kampmann is an underdog in this one."
That's the wrong choice.
And man, I think we know now why Kampmann was the underdog.
Yeah.
So
now with the next fight that we're going to cover here, a middleweight fight, Francis Carmon versus Tom Lawler. Wow, we dodged a bullet with this one. Whew. Now, in our opinion, and we've talked about this before, doing this video, Tom Lawler, 29-28, should have and would have been the right call.
Yes.
So
I kind of saw it going for Carmon because usually I kind of said split decision, and usually split decision goes towards the favorite more often.
Yep. And it's not necessarily the right call, but man, Francis Carmon, he just continues to be less of a fighter than the hype surrounding him. What I mean is that people have Francis Carmon in this very, very high pedestal right now because he trains with GSP and for us a hobby, a great camp at TriStar. But he just continues to underproduce in the octagon, just underfight. And Tom Lawler, I knew he would be a worthy opponent. He's kind of goofy and silly, but so many times these guys who have nothing to lose,
they go in there and upset.
Not only that, but they go in there with a mentality of, hey, I got nothing to lose. I'm just going to go out there, relax, lose, just go out there and go for it. And the other guy, he knows he's on the come up, perhaps a little bit of hype behind him, built up from the UFC, and he's more tense. He's more worried about what could go wrong and how am I going to do. So it's very dangerous, but everybody dodged a bullet here who picked Francis Carmon. What do you have to say about this fight, dog?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, I kind of, after the weigh-ins, I kind of downgraded him from a 80% to like a 60%. I still thought he was going to win, which he did, and he kind of won exactly how I expected.
Yeah.
I expected more from Carmon, but after watching the weigh-ins and seeing everything how it was going to go, Tom Lawler, I was that guy at the weigh-ins. You can never base your pick on that ever.
Yeah,
against that guy. But I totally agree with my dog here that we dodged the bullet on this one, and definitely some holes that Carmon's going to have to work on. He should probably start taking some takedown defense tips from Rafael dos Anjos.
Yeah. So to close out this particular fight, Francis Carmon, what I would like to see out of him is perhaps a higher level opponent than Tom Lawler, and my concern with that is that when Francis Carmon faces a higher level opposition, I don't think that he's going to live up to the hype around him. I think that Francis Carmon is going to lose if they give him a quality opponent next. I think he's gonna have his first loss there in the UFC, and I don't see good things in his future unless he changes things up, and he needs to work real closely with Faraz and try to improve and get better, because he has a lot of potential, but potential isn't going to win, isn't going to make you be the fighter who's got their hand raised at the end of the fight. So with Tom Lawler, I would like to see him. I would like to see him stay, and I would like him to stay in the UFC. I'd like to have the UFC keep him around at least for one more fight, because in my opinion he won that fight, and I would like to see that. What do you think about next for these two guys, dog?
Yeah, Carmon, anybody better than Tom Lawler will definitely beat him. And for Tom Lawler, I really feel like he got screwed on the decision last night. I did see the judges giving Carmon 29-28, but like I said, only because he was the favorite and only because I thought it was going to be a split decision. And it turned out to be true. Squeaked by.
Yep. Okay, so we got lightweights, Rafael dos Anjos versus Mark Bocek. And Rafael dos Anjos won the fight, unanimous decision, 30-27 all the way through. This is a real interesting fight, with Rafael dos Anjos, man. He just keeps getting better and better and better, and just keeps showing better and better game.
Yeah, he does.
And Mark Bocek, man, this guy, he just looks one-dimensional, slow, tired, just looking out there. I'm thinking to myself, man, what is Mark Bocek showing? Like, he's out there training in TriStar also, and in my opinion, he's capable of more than just that. But up against a guy like dos Anjos, who's training his whole MMA game, it's very difficult to be a one-dimensional fighter up against a guy who could knock you out, submit you, or win a decision like he did. So. What do you think about this Rafael dos Anjos and Mark Bocek fight, dog?
Yeah, I really don't think you should criticize Mark Bocek as much. I thought he put up a good fight. I just feel like Rafael dos Anjos just came in there with like a shot of Lasix and just totally just pummeled through him. I mean, he basically let Mark Bocek use all his strength trying to take him down, and then didn't let him take him down, and then used that in the second and third round to take over the fight, basically.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to criticize him. What I'm saying is that his takedown, Mark Bocek's takedowns are just not up to par. I mean, he needs to look across the gym, right? Look across, or maybe he's over there, and he needs to look at GSP and say, what is he doing?
What's he doing that I can't do?
What's he doing that I can't do? No, there's a lot of things that GSP is doing that Mark Bocek can't do, but the point is that he needs to work on his takedowns, because I have no doubt that Bocek has excellent jiu-jitsu, but he needs to get that fight down to the ground faster, not sit there up against the cage, using up all his energy. He can't get it to the ground. So, that's my thoughts on the whole thing. And for Rafael dos Anjos, I would like to continue to see him fight better and better fighters. I think he's doing, I think he's having some good fights there. And with Mark Bocek, I'd like to see him fight somebody more around, maybe a little bit lower than Rafael dos Anjos' level. Somebody a little bit below. But with dos Anjos, I'm excited to see what comes from dos Anjos. The way he was the underdog when he fought George Sotiropoulos and knocked him out. So it'll be interesting. What would you like to see for these guys, Dog? What do you think? Any ideas here on this one?
For dos Anjos, yeah, I'd like to see him fight somebody a little bit higher level.
Yeah.
For Bocek, I just feel like he was just off night for him.
30-27.
He probably is better than that. There's some guys that lost that night to 30-27 decisions, but I feel like Bocek would do better against a different opponent, where other guys would consistently lose every round.
Yep. So let's move on to the last fight we're going to be covering here on this recap. We're just going to do the pay-per-view tonight. Pablo Garza, the Scarecrow, versus Mark, the Not-So-Machine, Hominick. So for this particular fight, wow, I was impressed with Pablo Garza, the way he used his reach, distance, timing, everything he did against Mark Hominick was the way it was supposed to be. The only concern that I had for him was when Hominick would back him up against the cage. That was not a good move for Pablo Garza. Hominick would keep coming forward, and Garza kept backing up against the cage. So what Hominick wanted to do there was just punch him up against the cage, and try to counter anything that Garza would do. So I would have liked to seen Garza stand his ground in the middle of the octagon, and we saw a little bit of that. He would come forward and attack Hominick and back him up. But if Garza took the center of the octagon, took the middle of the octagon, and then worked his game from there, I feel he would be a threat at 145. I mean, such a tall guy, you could tell that he's naturally a lean kind of guy. You can tell that he's just naturally built that way. And guys who are like that can use that to their advantage. They can totally use that to their advantage, because a lot of guys who make weight, they're really, really robbing their body of their natural state of being. So some guys add a ton of muscle onto their frame. Some guys, drop a bunch of water, dehydrate themselves, dehydrate their brain when they do these weight cuts. But when guys are naturally at a weight and have such advantages like Pablo Garza, they could use that. And so he played it perfect. I have to give a lot of props to Pablo Garza there. He played it perfect. Mark Hominick was just, he didn't impress me at all. He looked real focused. My dog was commenting on how focused he looked.
He was 9 out of 10 times, I think he might have beat Pablo Garza. But
what was the expression on his face, Doug? What was the expression on Mark Hominick's face? How did it go? Show them so they can see.
Pablo Garza kind of looked like a guy that just woke up, just crawled out of bed. Obviously, that wasn't the case. But Mark Hominick coming in here like this.
What kind of look did he have in his eye?
Just like the devil was inside him or something.
Just looked like somebody who was just possessed. Like we were gonna have a movie and they're a possessed fighter.
Yeah.
Pablo Garza looked like he was just a pirate off of the Pirates of the Caribbean. That's what he reminded me of. This mellow old pirate going in, a lanky, skinny pirate. I thought he was gonna have like a wooden leg or something. He just looked like a Pirates of the Caribbean going in there against a guy who just got bit by a dog with rabies or something. Going in there and just, I was thinking to myself, holy man, Mark Hominick's going to go in there and just do that. What were you talking about? A body shot? What were you telling me?
Yeah, I said this is going to be a brutal body shot, like what happened with Chad Mendes and Cody McKenzie, and he got the brutal body shot he needed, and I feel like that was his chance to finish the fight. And after that, it was all Pablo Garza.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. We've got this thing where if we can't decide who's going to win a fight, usually on the walkouts, you can tell who's going to win a fight, and if you can't tell then. Right before the fight starts, when the referee says, "Are you ready? Are you ready? All right, let's fight." They show the guys. They show each guy. And right then, you can usually tell who's going to win the fight. Like when Lieben fought Vanderlei Silva, as an example, that one was just, we knew Chris Lieben was going to go in there and smash him. Ooh. But with Mark Hominick, he looked like he was going to win this fight. So it's not always 100%.
Yeah.
He just... inconsistency, I guess. 4 straight losses now for Mark Hominick. And you could call the last 2 fights like a fluke when he lost to Chan Sung Young, and you could call the split decision, it could have gone Mark Hominick's way. But a loss is a loss, 4 straight losses. It was an exciting fight, and you got to give Hominick one more chance, I guess, with an exciting fight like that.
Yeah.
But very unimpressed. If he's the favorite next time, I'm gonna bet the farm against him. He's just, fighting on the same card as George St-Pierre and Sam Stout. And I even saw him, coming in possessed. Because I had a feeling Sam Stout was going to lose the fight. And I said, if Sam Stout loses the fight, Hominick's going to win. Because Hominick needs a win for Team Tompkins. And he just didn't do that.
Yeah,
he didn't capitalize on his one shot in the first round.
That's what I was going to point out here is, Mark Hominick and Sam Stout and these guys have had a really rough last couple of years. So, in their defense, it has been, they lost their main trainer, so it's been, not only their main trainer, but, a best friend and just almost like a family member to Stout. So, it's real tough, something like that, a big loss like that. So, we give our respects to them and everything. But it just comes down to one of those decisions where, if you continue to go out there and fight the way, that kind of a fight, it's not going to be good, for your health, for everything, for your outlook, for your life. So, on a brighter note with Pablo Garza, man, I'd like to see him go up against some of these bigger names in the 145. He's
already fought Dustin Poirier and Dennis Bermudez, and those guys tore him apart. But but somebody a little bit less. I wouldn't mind. I would like to see. I would like to see him probably against George Roop or something.
Yeah,
George Roop would be a good fight.
That would be a good fight. I think the Pablo Garza should just take that advice and use his range, stay in the middle of the octagon, and just kind of work his way, his takedown defense and all this good stuff. Because you already know he's got the submissions, those crazy submissions. So just keep working on it and
then who do you think?
For Hominick,
I don't know who to pick.
I don't know.
He's at the bottom.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's gonna. I'm not sure they're gonna give him another fight in the UFC.
I think they will. He's an exciting fighter. I think they're gonna give him one more shot. Yeah, Dan Hardy lost 4 straight and he came back. So you never know.
Yeah, he brings a good fight. He does definitely bring a good fight. It'll be interesting to see what the UFC decides to do with him. But overall, this whole card was very exciting. Very worthwhile, worth the money. For a lot of people who complain about the $55 pay-per-view or
definitely worth the $55.
Definitely worth the $55 for the people who worry about having to drive with the price of gas how it is now, having to drive down to the bar and then pay somebody. Hey, it's $5 to get in. No, it's $10 to get in. Oh, it's $15. All this, crazy bars and stuff. So with this particular fight, I feel like everybody got their money's worth.
Regardless, if you ordered the pay-per-view, or you saw it for free, or you paid a cover to get in somewhere, or you paid some kind of minimum
fees,
food and beverage charge or something, whatever. I think everybody walked away happy. I mean, even the people that were thinking there was going to be a new welterweight champion got their money's worth. I was just a little bit disappointed with 2 of the judges' score. But, it is what it is, and it wouldn't have changed the winner at all. So
yeah, and that just kind of brings me to another point, Dog, is that, when are we not? I mean, these judges, man,
judges,
they need to go to some kind of a retreat.
Yeah.
Judges retreat in maybe Antarctica or the Arctic or something. Put them up in this cabin and just have them go in there and just learn how to judge an MMA fight. And of course, everybody's going to see things a little differently, right? Because everybody's got their opinion. But there shouldn't be so many BS fights and calls that we've seen. I mean, these are people's careers and lives. You know, that you're controlling. You're a judge. You know, to judge. If you're a judge, that's a very big title to have. So my opinion here is that if a fighter knows that, and this is good for people trying to predict fights too, if you are a decision type of fighter or you face such top quality opponents like GSP, and perhaps your game is wrestling, so now it's even more difficult to get a finish, you need to go in there and be prepared and know that the judges could give you a BS call.
Yeah.
As frustrating as it is and as upsetting as it is. So that's something for you and I to watch out for, is when we're picking these fights and predicting these fights, we have to take a look and see, okay, what are the possibilities and the probability that this fight goes to a decision? Because if it does, God knows what kind of decision these judges are going to come down upon, you know? Strike down the vengeance upon thee kind of a result, you know?
Yeah, I don't understand it sometimes. But, you know, you brought up a good point about that. If a fighter knows that the judges are going to favor them, they'll probably crank out a decision. I don't think GSP was trying to crank out a decision in that fight. It just is what it is. He says he tries to finish every fight, and the reason he can is because he fights top caliber guys.
Yep.
I kind of believe him now because had he finished Carlos Condit last night, I would have been even more impressed with him.
There's that, dog, and there's also one other thing. And this is another thing that sometimes some people don't really, perhaps, you know, people who aren't really that familiar with MMA or aren't too familiar with the whole game, they don't understand, is that when you try and counter or when you try and advance position, you put yourself in a situation to be
countered,
to you yourself be put in a worse position, which then could lead you to be finished yourself. You know, you could be the one who gets finished now, or you could be the one who gets knocked out now. So a lot of these fighters, you know, who have a lot to lose, will say, okay, I can move, I can move here, I can move here and try to pass guard. I can move from half guard over to side control, or I can stay here in this half guard position that Joe Rogan loves talking about. How every single time, I don't know if you noticed this, every time that somebody gets into half guard, Joe Rogan loves to comment how Randy Couture used to say that position was even better than side control because you have more control of your opponent. Yeah, which is true, but it's kind of funny how he always brings up how Randy Couture used to do that. And I know why. I mean, because it was very impressive to watch Randy Couture put in that position. And because it's true. Because when you have a guy like that, how GSP had Condit, there's nowhere for Condit to go. He's got his whole weight of his body on there, and he's got GSP's landing those punches on those elbows. He was throwing some nasty elbows too. So just something to look out for, something to be educated about, you know, something that you and I look out for. But for me, that pretty much sums it up for the recap. Any last closing thoughts, dog?
No, I hope UFC 155 is just exciting.
Oh man, I can't wait for that card, man. I can't wait. I go to bed every night and I go to sleep and I have dreams about UFC 155. I just can't wait. I feel like a little kid. You know, when you're a little kid and you're waiting for Santa Claus, you're waiting for Christmas to come. Oh man, I can't wait to go to sleep and wake up in the morning and go see what my presents are.
Yeah.
So I feel I can't wait to go watch these fights. I can't wait to see Cain Velasquez Jr. dos Santos. We just got a stacked card. Phil Davis against Forrest Griffin. It's going to be, you know, just a stacked card. I can't wait. Chris Weidman versus Tim Boach.
Belcher and O'Connell.
Yep. And then who's
Pickett, Wineland.
Who's fighting Lozon now? Jim Miller. Ah, man, I was really looking forward to Gray versus Joe.
But we'll get into that next time.
We'll jump into that next time. But for now, you know, I want to thank all the viewers, all our fans. I want to have you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yes, please just click on it. If you like it, subscribe.
Yeah,
that way you don't got to search for it next time. It's just there.
Yep. And then also like our Facebook page. We're definitely trying to increase the number of likes that we have on our Facebook. So like the Facebook page. And a special thanks to all the people who have been watching ever since the first video, and then commenting. That's right. We really enjoy the comments too. You know, those are cool. Get to read the comments and thoughts, and then we get to, you know, expand upon those thoughts. And I know we had a guy comment on our video who predicted, who was it, Doug, that predicted, I think he predicted 9 out of 11 or something. He left his predictions on the video. And that was cool to see too. You know,
yeah,
he kind of gave.
That was he got like it was on the China.
Macau,
part.
yeah, it was Macau. Yeah, this guy
like
he left
7 out of 9 or something.
some good number, and he left some good opinions and thoughts. So we see that, we read that, and we appreciate it, and it's cool to see, you know, the interaction, stuff like that. Also, we have a new revamped website. If you go to MMAdogs.com, dogs spelled DAWGS, like a friend. You can check out our site. You can see all our predictions and our statistics, our prediction accuracy, and we'll be updating all that, the site and everything like that. That way, it's nice and fun and interactive. Any last thoughts, Doug? Anything else you can think of here?
No, that's it.
That's it. Wraps it up for the night.
Just keep watching, keep subscribing, and keep watching the UFC.
Yeah, keep on watching these UFC fights. But have a good night, and thank you for watching, or have a good day if you're watching this in the day, or have a good morning if you're watching this in the morning. But whenever you're watching it, wherever in the world. The other thing I want to add on onto this little last video clip here is the amount of people that we have watching this outside of the U.S. and Canada. I mean, outside of North America.
Yeah,
we've got people all over the world. All over the world.
Fan base, I guess.
All over the world.
We have a fan base yet.
It's incredible. I mean, all over the world, people are watching it. So we see you watching it, I mean, everywhere throughout Europe and Asia and Australia and everywhere, South America, all the continents, all the countries. I mean, we've got over 90 countries. So, I mean, we've probably got more now, but last time I checked, it was over 90. So it's really impressive, I think, and something that that definitely motivates us to do more and spend more time researching it, have our accuracy levels be even higher. So we definitely want to thank them.
Yeah, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And I
we'll
guess
do like the Ivan Menjivar. Yeah, I guess that's how Menjivar. Yep, Machida, Ivan Menjivar. All right, guys. So long, and we'll see you on the next video. MMA Dogs.